Welcome inside the Lloyd Noble Center here on the campus of the University of Oklahoma in Norman, Oklahoma for today's 2015 NCAA Regional Gymnastics Competition. Excited about today's event featuring 6 of the finest teams in the country, including the #1 ranked Oklahoma Sooners, the #12 ranked Oregon State Beavers, #13th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions, the Southern Utah Thunderbirds, Missouri Tigers, and the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Hi everybody, I'm Bart Connor along with my fellow Olympian and fellow Sooner, Kelly Garrison Funderburg. Excited about this event today, Kelly, as we have been all season long about the Oklahoma women's gymnastics program. Last year they tied for the national championship with Florida, but this year, since January 12th, they've been #1 all season long and in fact undefeated. How could it get any better for the Sooners?
I bet Coach Kindler is saying the same thing. They have been stellar this year, and one reason why is because they brought in a great freshman class and then combined it with their already stellar athletes like the Haley Skaman. So putting them together, they've developed the consistency and the pizzazz and the wow, and so they're really headed for the hunt for another national championship, Bart.
Oh, starts right here in Norman today. And of course, one other aspect of today's competition is what other team could advance out of these regionals. And of course, Oregon State and Penn State have a little bit of a rivalry going. We'll talk more about that later in the program. But for more on the story of the Oklahoma Sooners, let's go to the third member of our broadcast team, Jessica Cootie.
Thanks a lot, Bart. Yeah, on the University of Oklahoma women's gymnastics receiving the #1 overall seed for the first time in program history, and deservedly so after going undefeated with the kind of schedule that they had both on the road and at home, which was by design by Oklahoma head coach KJ Kindler. I got a chance to talk with Coach Kindler about receiving the #1 overall seed, and she said it's something that they take a great deal of pride in, that if you would have told her at the beginning of the season that the Sooners would go undefeated with the kind of schedule they had, she would have asked you how in the world they would have been able to do that. But because they did, it's something that they're very excited about. That being said, though, she also told me that this is one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult meets of the entire season, because you have to be on today. You have to bring your best. She said, though, that this team obviously knows how to advance past this point. They've been battle tested. They've seen people's best all season. She expects the same today and also expects to see a great amount of fight from the Sooners.
All right, thank you, Jessica. Well, the Oklahoma Sooners have made a habit of doing well at the NCAA Regional. They've won 5 in a row and are expected to lead this competition as well tonight. Well, competition begins in a few minutes when we come back here to the Lloyd Noble Arena for the 2015 NCAA Regional Gymnastics Championships. Welcome back inside the Lloyd Noble Arena. The athletes are finishing up their one-touch warm-ups as we are about set to begin competition. Jessica is with one of the key coaches of today's event, Tanya Chaplin from Oregon State.
That's right, Bart. Thanks a lot. Coach Chaplin, your team received the bye before starting off in bars. Do you see that maybe as a possible advantage for this team, or starting off with the bye?
Yeah, it definitely can be. You know, they get time to bring it down before they start. And so hopefully they'll start off strong. You know, they're ready, and now they just have to put it all together.
At this point, a year ago, your team was eliminated in Happy Valley by Penn State and Florida. How much has that served as a motivation for this team this season?
Well, they've, you know, I don't know. Really, it's a new team. You know, they're just focused in on what they can do. Which teams are here? We can't control that, and so we're just really focused in on ourselves.
And Chelsea Tang, your senior all Pac-12 member, what do you need to see from her today in her final regional meet?
Well, Chelsea and the rest of the seniors, you know, they're leading the way, and we want to see that continued calmness that we always see from Chelsea from start to finish.
Thanks for your time. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Bart, we'll send it back up to you.
Thank you, Jessica. And Tanya Chaplin, we go a long ways back with Tanya, don't we, Kelly? And it's good to see her here. 18 years she and her husband Mike have been coaching the team at Oregon State, and they've done a really nice job. As you saw while we were interviewing her, you can keep an eye on the fact that we're doing a 4-box competition here tonight, meaning that all 4 teams will be seen simultaneously. This is a 4-ring circus. All 4 apparatus going on at the same time. So in the main screen right now, we have the Oklahoma Sooners. And you saw Rebecca Clark, who is traditionally in the leadoff role, led them off there well. The other 3 boxes contain the other 3 teams who are competing during this rotation. And there are 2 other teams that are in these bye boxes, which means they are basically sitting on the sideline. So currently on vault is Missouri, Oregon State is on a bye. Oklahoma, as you see, is on the bars. Penn State on the beam. Southern Utah on a bye. And North Carolina State on the floor. Keely Kamichek is waiting to get the green light from the judges. Calculating the score currently for Rebecca Clark, who got the Sooners off to a start. The Sooners have had, as we mentioned, a really solid season start to finish. Perhaps only one sort of really shattering moment was the fact that Miley Knever tore her ACL in the middle of February, and so she's a very powerful tumbler vaulter who's not in the lineup. But the Sooners do have enough depth this year to still retain a very consistent, strong team.
Keely Kamichek is just fantastic on this event. She is always so solid for the Sooners, and often she is first or second up in the lineup, and that's a tough role to have, but she loves it.
Currently ranked 20th in the nation on the uneven bars, and she's part of OU's terrific junior class.
You know, her highest is a 9.925, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Sooners have been gearing up to try to stick every landing, and they've already started off that way, 2 in a row.
And postseason play, of course, most of the teams are very evenly matched. It's going to come down to the fine details, sticking landings, and I recently saw the SEC championships where the top 3 teams were separated by .125, and of course a tenth of a point is a step on a landing, so these competitions are extremely tight.
That's right. Coach Kindler cannot say that enough, but as you notice in all the boxes, it is so neat, Bart, to be able to watch all the gymnasts. I mean, it's almost, as a gymnastics fan, you're like, oh, where do I look? Where do I look? But it was nice to see a triple series on the balance beam. Missouri's doing some outstanding vaults already. It's going to be fun and challenging to watch all at the same time.
We hope the fans enjoy this type of coverage, because typically when there's 4 events going simultaneously, you can watch one, but you're missing 3. But the way we're doing it today, and I really like how Sooner Sports Network covers this event, they are giving us all the events. So if you happen to be a fan of Missouri, for instance, you get a chance right now to see the vault of Caitlin Trevino.
I love that, because your parents, you can say, oh, too bad. You know, that's not the right timing to, you know, years ago they had 2 vaults, but now I think, oh, she could just do another one. Not anymore. They only carry 1 vault. Erica
Brewer, who's a standout for the Sooners on the uneven bars. She is a senior out of Louisville, Kentucky, and currently academic all Big 12, as well as her accomplishments in the gym.
You know, I asked her, she had that such strange injury on vault the other day, or a couple weeks ago, and it doesn't seem to be bothering her at all. The shoulder, she kind of sprained her shoulder a little bit, but wow, she's really come back, and it's because she's so tough. She did have a scary accident. She was getting ready to vault at the dual meet against Alabama. She tripped on the vaulting table and vaulting board and crashed into the vault table. It was a scary moment for her. Luckily, she was okay and able to continue on. And she, in fact, just a couple of weeks ago, she won the Big 12 balance beam. She's a co-champion there with a score of 9.975, so it didn't sideline her for long. You know, this really gives you a neat aspect of what a gymnastics meet is really like. If you've never attended it, this really shows you how there's so many things going on at once, and you get to see the finest athletes. Becca Schugel from Missouri on vault. Shannon Welker, the coach there, has been doing a great job. He's just in his 2nd season for Penn State. Emma Simpson, one of their standouts on the beam currently. You know, Bart, this next girl up for OU is a specialist, and you'll see why, because she is beautiful from her toes all the way to her fingernails. She was recruited for this event alone, and I'm just going to call it now. She's going to be the next Sooner to score a 10 on this event, whether it's today or at Nationals. Although KJ Kindler said she hasn't stuck at dismount in 5 meets, and so she's hoping she can finally hit a stuck landing, because you're right, she has the technique, the power, and look at the beautiful lines and precision. If you're watching gymnastics as a fan, you're just like, wow, that's what it's supposed to look like. That beautiful line kind of reminds you of a Taylor Spears. Hits every handstand.
Beautiful toe point. See if she can stick this landing for Coach Kindler.
Stay.
Okay. She had to wave her arms a little bit, but her feet certainly didn't move. Lou Ball, the husband of KJ Kindler, and he's primarily in charge of bars, happy with that effort.
Well, she needs that confidence headed into the national championships.
Good vault for Missouri over there from Shauna Miller.
They're nailing some vaults, I have to admit. It's nice to see, and their team is so excited. It's hard sometimes, you know, you get in a zone and you're focused on just your event, but, you know, it's loud in here. I mean, you hear the floor music and you hear the crowd cheering. A lot of people ask me, does that bother you? And I'm like, not really. You're so focused on what you're here to accomplish.
I think sometimes it's more difficult when it's completely silent.
Yeah.
Because you feel like, wow, everybody's looking at me. But when you're out there with a 4-ring circus, there's a lot of energy, and you it feels a little bit more like practice in a way. There's a lot happening simultaneously. And that's what Coach Kindler told us before the meet. She's just hoping that her team treats this like any other meet. I know that's difficult because there's so much at stake. The only way to advance forward to the national championships is being one of the top 2 teams today. Haley scheming on the bars now.
You know, this is the only event Haley has ever had a fall on in her college career. So I think sometimes it's in the back of your mind, but she is such a fantastic athlete all the way through. She's so dedicated, so doesn't seem to be bothering her.
She's so highly ranked on floor and vault, but she's 17th in the country on the bars as well.
How about that landing? Really starting them off great, and that's going to just continue to build as they lead into balance beam next event, which they're known for, but this is how it is how you want to start off your competition.
Scores for the Sooners on the bars. A quick update there. Erica Brewer had a 9.85. Rebecca Clark, she led them off with a 9.825. Keely Kamichek a 9.85, and Mackenzie Wofford a 9.875. So the Sooners have yet to break into the 9.9s, but one thing that's also different about this meet as opposed to a regular season meet is regular season meets, there are 2 judges and they average the scores. In postseason play, whether it's the conference, the regional, or the NCAAs, there are 4 judges. High and low scores are thrown out, and the 2 scores in the middle are average. So in order to get a 9.9, assuming you're going to throw one away, you got to have at least 3 scores 9.9 or better from the 4 judges.
That's a great point. You know, this is such a treat to watch this next gymnast. She is world class. Brenna Dow, she's one of those freshmen that we talked about earlier, and she was an alternate for the Olympic team. She has scored a 10 on this event, the only freshman to have scored a 10 for the Sooners.
And this is certainly one of the highly recruited athletes. KJ Kindler said it's the strongest elite national team member they've brought to the University of Oklahoma in a long time. Just a freshman, she is used to competing on her own as an individual elite gymnast, but she, according to Coach Kindler, has really bought into the team aspect of what this is all about. Wow!
Man, I'm seeing a 10 headed that direction. Unfortunately, that little step on the landing, but we'll take it. Sooners will take it. Again, you know, she's going to get pressure from her coach, you know, and the other girls like, hey, we all stuck and you didn't.
She did a double layout with a full twist, the most difficult dismount being done in college today. And so, come on, give her a break. Brenna Dow did her club gymnastics at Gage in Kansas City. Al Fong and Armini Barutian coached her there. She's a member of the World Championship team, and as you mentioned, Olympic alternate. She is a superstar, no question. Now, in addition to the team competition going on here, there are several individuals have qualified. If you happen to be not on one of the top teams in the country, but you're a strong individual all-arounder or individual apparatus performer based on your regional qualifying score, you get invited to the regional. And that is why we're going to see this next young lady here. This is Gabrielle May from University of Illinois, Chicago, and she is the at-large competitor. She's the top all-arounder at large, which means she's a top all-arounder not on one of the qualifying teams.
That's right. You know, she's not only a great athlete, gymnast, she was Female Student Athlete of the Year 3 times, not just once. And just a stellar in the gym and also in the classroom.
She is the Midwest Independent Conference all-around silver medalist this year. Scored a 39.35, a very respectable score in women's collegiate gymnastics. She's originally out of Winnipeg, Canada.
You know, it is difficult sometimes competing all year long with your team, then all of a sudden coming and having to compete by yourself. And so it's really important for the rest of the team that you're with, like the Sooners, to show her some love and let her know that, you know, they support her too. And you can see that right there, like, hey, you're part of our team today.
You see Tom Haley there giving her a congratulations. Haley, of course, one of the coaches for the Sooners, but they have pulled Gabriel May into their corral there, and they're going to be cheering for her throughout today's competition. We mentioned that there are 4 events going on simultaneously, 2 teams standing on the sidelines waiting to go. They're in buys, essentially. So we're going to go to the balance beam now. Sydney Sanabria Robles will be up now for Penn State.
You know, she has an interesting story because she's a transfer from LSU, and she was on medical at LSU because she had torn, or actually she had hurt her patella tendon, and they actually released her, Bart, and let her come along to Penn State, and only because of her desire and her will to continue on, that now she's, you know, one of the top all-arounders for the Nittany Lions.
Let's take a look at the scores that they have had. 9-7 for Nicole Medvitz. Tina Postiglione, 9-8. Emma Simpson, who's one of their better all-around gymnasts, had only a 9.425. Brianna Tsang, who is their star this year, has had a 9.8. So they, as we have noted many times, they're hoping to replace the score if there is a mistake. You have 6 athletes perform. The top 5 scores count towards a team total. So hopefully this routine will be hit so that they can replace that 9.425. That's
right. You know, I noticed a girl fall, and all of a sudden that just puts pressure on the rest of the team. And even being a veteran, you're kind of like, yikes, I've got to hit this. But that's the last thing you should do, is just really focus on your skills. And she looks so calm and confident. I love that about her. There's a reason why she's scored a 9.95 as her highest in her career on balance beam. She acts like this is no big deal. Oh my gosh, no way! Oh, wow. Okay, this totally changes the ball game today. As you know, Penn State was really in the hunt against Oregon State to qualify in that top 2 to make it to the NCAA Nationals. This is a shock, and it's really going to make the story interesting when Oregon State comes out and finds out that they had to count a fall. Wowee.
So once again, 6 athletes compete, 5 scores count. They were hoping to replace the 9.425, and typically you have a consistent routine from Sydney Sanabria Robles, but that fall, but of course everybody's got to do beam today.
That's right.
Oregon State certainly in a very close battle based on their national team rankings. They're only separated by 15 one-thousandths of a point in terms of their season averages. And so they are expected to go head-to-head for the 2nd qualifying spot in today's regional if things work out as they have all season. But Penn State has put themselves in a difficult situation now because they have had 2 falls on beam, which means one of them will have to count towards their team total.
You know, and their coach, Jeff Thompson, said he welcomed starting on beam and thought it would be a great, you know, he was confident and knew that they could hit and do it, and so I think they're just going to have to rally. I mean, they should never give up at this point. There's no telling what could happen with these other teams. You know, like you said, they have to compete not only balance beam, but, you know, mistakes happen on the other events too, stepping out of bounds or bars, taking a fall, or a couple steps or landings. So don't go away, anyone. That's all I got to say, because this is going to be a nail-biter.
That's an interesting story here. That coach there is Jen Kessler. She's a second-year head coach there at Lindenwood, the Lindenwood Lions, which is outside of St. Louis area. And her gymnast getting ready to go, Valerie Ingui, and she's a 2014 USAG All-American. Jen Kessler was a graduate of OSU, Oregon State University, in 2012, and now, in a very short period of time, finds herself as the head coach at the latest program to add women's gymnastics, Lindenwood Lions.
That's right.
So here is Valerie Ingui.
She has 3 gymnasts here from Lindenwood, and so not only has she taken over the program there, but she's brought some quality gymnastics to it already. She's really making a name for herself and for her university, Lindenwood. Pretty. It's a unique hard tumbling pass on the balance beam, a 2-footed handspring into the layout step out. You know, different than club gymnastics or even the Olympics sometimes, in college you get to see all these fancy leotards. You know, they're sparkly and shiny, and they just really bring some pizzazz.
Well, they're
to
$500
the sport.
a piece. That's part of the
Yeah,
reason. They
well.
have bigger budgets at the universities, that's for sure.
She is so poised. It's great to see her. You know, you mentioned her coaches. They are the MIC Head Coach of the Year and the Assistant Head Coach of the Year. Nice double fold. Don't see that very often anymore.
It's the first time for the Lindenwood Lions that they had a gymnast make the NCAA Regional. And their first season of competition at the school was only in 2013, so congratulations to them.
We have one competitor remaining in this rotation. Next on floor, ASU, Natasha Sunday.
The final performer in the floor exercise, she's following North Carolina State's team effort there, is Natasha Sunby from Arizona State University.
Natasha is a vault and floor specialist at ASU. Her highest score this season has been a 9.9. Her coach told me she is just a dynamic gymnast, and she really likes to put on a good show. So I think we're in for a treat.
The head coach at Arizona State now is Renee List, who is formerly Renee Cook, who is married to Mark Cook, who's the head coach at Arkansas. And she has moved on, and they are separated, divorced, and so he's still the coach at Arkansas, but she has taken the head coaching position at Arizona State, which just became available this year.
Big shoes to fill she had, you know.
Well, we wish her
Coach
well.
John Speeney was there
John
for
Speeney
years
was
and
there
years.
for almost 40 years at Arizona
he recruited
State.
me, actually.
Oh.
So that shows.
That wasn't that long ago.
No. No, a few years back, so. You know, this girl walked by, and I thought, this is a California girl. She just looks so peppy and beautiful, and blonde hair, and I think, oh, can't wait to watch her.
In El Dorado Hills, California. Twice this year, she scored 9.9 on floor.
You know, this music, normally you're not supposed to have any type of words with music or singing. And it almost sounds like someone's singing in it, but it's just the way the music has been put together. Wow, beautiful full in.
You're actually allowed to have a voice as long as there are no recognizable words.
Right, well.
So the voice could be used as a musical instrument in that regard.
Huh. Oh, now you might notice there that tape came loose on her leg, and I'll tell you something, that sometimes can be a distraction when you're competing. You know, you're like, can I just pull this off? And it's actually a deduction if you bent down and ripped it off your leg.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
Really high 2.5 twister to that front layout. Unfortunately, it looks like she might have gone out of bounds.
It looks like it. I can't tell.
Of course, going out of bounds is just 1/10 of a point deduction. It's not that severe, but you also get a deduction for the step that took you there to get out of bounds in the first place.
You know, you have to be a good dancer to pull off music like this, too. It's kind of... and she does a great job.
Natasha Sunby from Arizona State University.
I think we'll get a look at it right here, Bart. 2.5 to a punch layout. Oops, yeah, definitely stepped out. Looks like she just had a little too much power.
Okay, so that wraps up the first of 6 rotations here. The Oklahoma Sooners will move from the bars to the balance beam in this second rotation, and the other teams move around the rotation format accordingly. 4 will be competing simultaneously, and 2 teams will go into the bye or the rest period while they wait for their next chance to compete. So it's the 2015 NCAA Regional Gymnastics Championships. Rotation 1 is complete. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Lloyd Noble Center here in Norman, Oklahoma. At the University of Oklahoma, we're getting ready for the second rotation of 6 here at the Regional NCAA Championships. The Missouri Tigers are here, and they are in their first NCAA regional appearance since 2012. They really improved their NCAA ranking. They're up 14 spots higher than they were a year ago. And I think their head coach has been doing a terrific job, and that is Shannon Welker, and he's with Jessica right now.
All right, Coach, we saw some really solid vaults from you guys to start this thing off. Overall, how pleased were you with how the Tigers got things rolling in this regional meet?
It's good. You know, I think our goal is always to go out and count 5 strong, if not 6 scores, you know, in that first rotation. And we did that, and so we got off to a good start, and we're pretty excited about that. And it was nice to get Shauna Miller back in the lineup. She's been out for a couple of weeks, so that was a pleasant surprise. Not surprise, but planned thing there to get her back in. So, yeah, we're pretty excited about it, and we're going to another strong event for us on bars.
And you guys are coming off one of your better performances all season on bars in the SEC Championships. How do you guys match that and even better at here coming up next?
Well, I think we had a couple of little things that we wanted to improve upon since SECs, and we've had a couple of weeks to work on those and just cleaning up some handstands and some little things like that. So, and it's gone well. So I expect that we're going to be able to see some of those things today.
Coach, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
Guys, we'll send it back up to you.
All right, here in the second rotation, the University of Oklahoma goes to the balance beam, where they have the #1 team in the country, and they have dominated all season long on this event, and Chase Capps has done her part. But this is just one flat-out amazing balance beam routine, and I know Coach KJ Kindler takes a lot of pride in this, because most of these championship meets come down to who can execute beam well. And she seems to have the magic touch.
She does. Every time I watch them, I'm like, how does she do it? Not just one athlete, but it's one after the other. And, you know, because she is so great as a choreographer, she brings that to the balance beam, too. So it's not just skills. It's the whole gamut. You know, it's the presence, the presentation, the high releve, every single part. I know every team in the country is watching her.
Chase Capps, one of the standout performers for the Sooner to watch there. She is ranked second nationally on the beam, and we'll see her in the lineup today as well. Look at this, 5 Sooners ranked in the top 15 on beam. We saw Chase Capps second, but look at Brewer, Clark, Sorensen, and Carol Lavon. And of course, they scored the nation's top score, a remarkable 49.75 in that meet, where they went head-to-head with the co-national champions, the University of Florida. It was held here at the Lloyd Noble Arena, and the Sooners were on fire tonight, weren't you?
Absolutely, it was phenomenal. And Chase Capps really did a stellar routine. It should have been a 10-0, and I'm pretty strict on throwing out a 10, especially on the balance beam. But you know, each of these athletes have that potential, the 9-9 and above.
We've mentioned a couple of times the University of Florida. I saw them at the SEC Championships a couple of weeks ago, and after lights out performances on vault and bars, it came to beam. 2 freshmen fell, and then one of their standout performers, Keitra Hunter, the former NCAA all-around champion, she turned and grabbed the beam. So it turned out the 2 falls and the 9.6 for Keitra Hunter really sunk the Florida Gators, and from a lead position of first place. They dropped to third in the SEC as a result of a shaky beam performance. So, so far, that kind of a beam bug hasn't affected the Sooners. So let's see how Keely Kamichek can do for them. She has typically in this leadoff role, she's quite comfortable there.
Not only is she comfortable, but she relishes it. She enjoys the competition. Coach Kindler says that about her. She's very, very competitive. There's that nice flight series. You know, her role is so key. You look at all the other gymnasts are the ones that are ranked in the top 5, Bart, but she really has probably one of the most important positions in the lineup. The others are kind of getting the recognition, but boy, howdy, is her role important.
Well, it's a good point. I talked to Coach Kindler the other day, and she said, I need a kid in that second spot who can get a 9.95, and that's what Keely Kamichek can do. And the scores typically build from there.
Right.
Oh,
wow,
my goodness!
Holy, I love that. Look at Coach Kindler. What a way to rock it. I don't think I've seen her stick all year long.
I love that. You know, you can do an easier dismount and get a good score, but I love that she has the courage to do a double back, but then to just drill it like that, that's magic.
Right. And you know, that's what Coach Kindler has been wanting this team to do on beam, is to stick those landings and get the confidence. You know, one thing we talked about earlier is that this is one thing Coach Kindler has been working on, is getting her athletes to peak. You know, you cannot stay. I mean, yeah, they have. Number one, right here, dismount. Love that. And to be able to peak these gymnasts back up for the NCAA championships, and this is what she's doing right here.
It's a long season. They compete almost every weekend, starting in about the first week of January, and so it's almost like there's 2 seasons in gymnastics. There's the regular season, which is weekly in and out competition, and then there's a short break to the conference championships, then 2 weeks to this regional, and then 2 more weeks to the NCAA championship. So Coach Kindler is hoping that, she says that her team didn't expect to do an undefeated season this year in the regular season, but they hope to be in their strongest shape right now when it really counts.
Well, she talks a lot about that as being fit. You have to be physically fit, mentally fit. So she really covers every aspect, and that's what's making her a championship coach. This gymnast up on the balance beam, she is just beautiful to watch. Haley Sorensen, her flexibility is out of this world, and Coach Kindler has a great way of emphasizing that when she choreographs her routine. And see right there. I'll tell you the interesting about Haley, this is what impressed me the most. She never competed on balance beam until her senior year, and now she is in a key role.
Yeah, in fact, she's currently ranked tied for 11th in the country.
For all those gymnasts out there watching, I mean, this is a perfect example of do not give up. I mean, here she was, never competed on balance beam, and you know, for 4 years, but she trained and practiced and proved to her coach, can be in this lineup.
Her execution and flexibility sort of reminiscent of Taylor Spears, who was one of the graduating gymnasts from last year's Sooner program. Spears, the NCAA champion on beam last year. Wow.
Be interesting to see how the judges score that dismount. You see her land, kind of lean back.
That's why they have that 1/2 tenth deduction they can take, I think. It's interesting, 4 years she's done basically only balance beam for the Sooners, but she hasn't often made it into the lineup. So for her to be in this pressure situation, very impressive. Look at that.
That's hot. Stretch in the morning. How about you? Right?
No.
Climb out of bed and...
Keely Kamichek's score before her was a very impressive 9.85 in that leadoff roll.
Well, and as you mentioned, with 4 judges, to start off balance beam first up, score 9.85 with 4 judges. That's what a stick on the landing will do for you.
Cara Lovan getting a few notes from Coach Kindler here on the beam.
Kira has really turned on this year. She has just surprised me because she's competing on 3 events. She's a steady Eddie, and she's so tiny but light and powerful.
Keep in mind that on vault, that's North Carolina State. Oregon State has moved to the uneven bars. The Sooners, as you're watching in the main screen on the beam, in Southern Utah is over on the floor. Once again, 4 events happening simultaneously. This is Kara Levon, who is a sophomore out of Des Moines, Iowa. Very clean on this event. In fact, ranked 15th in the country here.
I love to watch her amplitude and watch her hips actually rise up off the balance beam when she does her leaps. Flight, You know, Bart, I noticed in warm-up when Coach Kindler was talking to her, she was having her do a drill on her leg to keep her back hip straight and in line, and that's exactly why she apparently has been struggling with that either today or this week.
Sooners have 2 good scores so far. Kamichak and then Haley Sorensen had a 9-9.
Well, then a bobble like that is always better than a fall, because it, you know, when there's a fall and feet at the ground, that just changes your whole philosophy or feeling when you're about to perform next.
Yeah, because the other gymnasts like to see that you're fighting for it instead of falling off.
Well, and it takes the pressure off still. You know, when they fall, you're like, oh, man, I have got to hit. Here it is. I can't swing layout. See, her back foot is turned out. She needs to keep the weight on the front foot longer. A unique dismount she has. Standing layout, step out into a full. Beautiful vault. I don't know if you got a chance to see that.
Amanda's step over there.
Very hard, difficult. Sugahara full and a half, tuck full and a half. One of the most difficult vaults you're going to see.
From Northern Illinois University. Katie Anna McMillan for Oregon State getting set for the bar. She is one of their outstanding athletes. And
Next up, for Oklahoma, Rebecca Clark. And next up for Southern Utah, will be Brittany Jensen.
You know what's interesting about McMillan on the bars? She went to the same school, the same club, National Academy of Artistic Gymnastics, as her coach, as Tanya Service, or Tanya Chaplin. Here's the other rock for the Sooners, Becca Clark. Becca has been a Big 12 champion on the balance beam.
Ranked 7th in the country on this event. She has been coming around towards the end of the season, as Coach Kindler said.
She's the perfect person to go up next after someone kind of has a slight bobble, because nothing seems to shake her, knock on wood. But she does. She's exact. And because of her gymnastics being so pointed and exact, it helps with less deductions.
She is very much a team leader for the Sooners, very vocal and typically very solid in all of her convictions. And when she speaks, people listen to her. The senior out of Blue Springs, Missouri, did her club training at Gage Gymnastics as well.
Side aerial.
There's so much polish for the Sooners on the beam. I mean, look at the form, leg extension, body movements. And I think the routines are very smartly constructed so that there's little opportunity for deductions.
I agree. And you know what? They continue to work on that. It's not like they've been that way from the get-go. I actually went and watched them early on in beginning of, even before season started, and I thought, wow, they got a lot of work to do. And now I'm just like amazed, because I see Coach Kindler continue to focus on these small details, and it's never good enough. She's pushing it every day.
The score, by the way, for Kara Levon was a 9.75. Haley Sorensen had a 9.9. which, as you mentioned, was exactly what they needed after a slight bobble for Levon. So that, by the way, is the first 9-9 of the day for the Sooners. They, on uneven bars, had several scores between 9-8-2-5 and 9-8-7-5, but finally hit the 9-9s on beam.
Well, it'll be unique if this next young lady up on balance beam does not get a 9-9, because her highest is a 9-9-7-5. She's consistent. Number 2 in the country, Chase Caps.
He's very comfortable in this event. In fact, 7 weeks this season, she's been ranked number 1 on beam, and she's the Big 12 co-champion with the gymnast who will follow her, Erica Brewer. So the Sooners have 2 amazing anchor performers on their best event, the beam, where they are ranked number 1 in the country. Clever mom.
I love it. It's clever. Chase has originality all day long because her style of dance is different. You're going to see that when they go over to the floor exercise. She has more of a modern style. She actually was a dancer in high school competitively, and her mother owns a dance studio. You know, I mentioned earlier I was kind of aggravated that I was surprised she didn't score a 10 in her last competition. It truly was a 10 routine, but as you know, Bart, sometimes you have to score a 10 more than once before you receive that 10. You got to prove it to the judge. I'm worthy. Leap combination there. It's required. She takes her eyes away from the beam when she does that ring jump. Makes it more difficult. And here goes into the dismount. Nice. She's getting better and better.
Just a sophomore out of Plano, Texas. Did her club training at Infinite Bounds. She's also 19th ranked on the vault in the country.
You know, you look at each level of the Sooners, you think they're freshman class. Oh, no, they're the best. Oh, well, wait, they're no, they're junior. And that's the way you do it. You want to spread it out. And that's what Coach Hiller, you asked me earlier why they're still number 1 this year. I think that's why. She spreads out the quality in all the different levels. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
I've seen many of the college teams this year as we're broadcasting almost every weekend. Some of the finest teams in the country, and one of the things that does allow the Sooners to stand out is their polish. The execution, the clean form, that pays off at the end of the day. And in fact, you create routines that basically have no room for deductions. And that's how you create a winning team, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It really is. And honestly, I don't think Coach Kindler knows any other way. That's just who she is. She describes her athletes as being all in and being passionate and dedicated, but she's the leader that exudes that and teaches that just in the way she goes about her everyday, work ethic in the gym.
And in fact, that's the kind of athlete she recruits to Oklahoma, is the kind of athlete who has that toe point extension and polish that she knows is going to score well. In fact, she told us a couple of years ago she thinks she needs to recruit a little bit more for power because they were becoming known as a polished team, but not necessarily an explosive team. But now it seems like the Sooners pretty much have it all.
Absolutely.
High score of the meet so far on the beam is Haley Sorensen's 9-9. Erica Brewer now the Big 12 co-champion on this event. Earlier this year, she scored a perfect 10 on beam. That's the only perfect 10 scored on beam in the NCAA this season.
I think it surprised herself even. I'm not sure people pegged her as being the next 10 on the balance beam for the Sooners, and the reason she did is because she is one of the hardest workers in practice. She comes in, she gets her work done, she's efficient, she's optimistic. She just has it all. And I can see such a difference right now, even watching her. She's so much more confident. I guess a 10-0 will do that for you.
Chase Capps before her had a 9.85. So the low score so far for the Sooners is only the 9.75 from Cara Lavon. So if they can replace that score, as they will, with a big score here for Brewer, the Sooners will have 5 superb scores on the beam.
Well, you know, Bart, she went back to her dismount. She was doing the gainer full off the side. That's when she scored her 10. It's a much easier dismount than that one. And so, like I said, Coach Kindler is preparing that team to win nationals, to bring the very best they've got.
That's true, because at the nationals, when they go against LSU, Florida, Alabama, Utah, UCLA, the other top teams in the country, that difficulty is going to matter, because it's sort of a head-to-head comparison with the other teams in the country. And so having at least 2 gymnasts on your team that can do double backs at the end of the beam performance counts a lot, doesn't it? It
does, and it does mentally too, because you will just look at the other team and go, wow, that team over there, they do 2 double backs. They must be really good. And so it works in the psyche of the other gymnasts and the other teams and coaches. And the gymnasts want to do it. They want to do more difficulty. They don't want to be restrained by doing easier routines just to get a solid score. That's an ongoing discussion in women's collegiate gymnastics. Should they change the rules slightly to open the door for gymnasts who are willing to have the guts and take the risk of doing a more difficult dismount? Because, as you mentioned, her high score of the year came when she did an easier dismount, but she stuck it cold. How do you find that right balance? Oh, I wish I had the answer to that, because I was the girl who kind of did those hard skills. And back then, you got points or tenths of bonus for doing creative moves. And now it's the way the scoring system is, it's almost like, well, I might as well just do something easy and do it perfect. So I don't know if they'll ever find that balance. We saw her on the bars earlier. This is Gabrielle May. Oh, no. It's too bad. The senior co-captain from the University of Illinois, Chicago. Her second year qualifying as an individual to the NCAA regionals. Last year, this meet was hosted at Penn State. You know, I watched her warm up, and she was just like a rock in practice on balance beam. I thought, this girl is great. It's disappointing, I know, for her. Look at that. You don't see that in college gymnastics very often. Like we talked about, they're not willing to take that risk, and that's a front tuck. Score for Erica Brewer was a 9.875. So the Sooners will drop Cara Lavon's 9.75, and they have scores ranging from 9.85 to 3.9875s, and then Haley Sorensen's 9.9. So a 49.375 for the Sooners in the second rotation, strong on the beam. Well, they definitely know how to get it done. You know, even if I quiz Coach Kindler, I'm not sure she would have that answer to me to say how she does it on balance beam. Well, just don't jinx her, that's for sure. Good job for Gabby May, except that unfortunate mistake on the beam. You know, you just want to, when you hit the ground like that, you just want to go, can I do this over? Can we just start over? Okay, so that will complete competition in the second of 6 rotations here. When we come back, we'll update you with the scores. The Sooners off to a 98.65 after 2 events. They are our leaders right now, but we'll update you on the team standings when we come back to Norman, Oklahoma. Don't go away. And welcome back to the Lloyd Noble Arena after 2 of 6 rotations. The Oklahoma Sooners with a 98.65. They have the lead. They will go to a bye. The other team that's done 2 events is North Carolina State. The Wolfpack has a 98.075. The other 4 teams, as you see on that lineup there, have only done 1 event because they have had byes as well. So 2 teams have done 2 events. The other teams have only done 1. And now let's take a moment to celebrate the Wolfpack from North Carolina State. 13th consecutive NCAA appearance. 5 times this year they've been over 195.
two EAGL champions, but they have only one senior in their lineup this year. So a young team that is led by a coach who's been around a long time, Mark Stevenson, in his 35th year at North Carolina State, and Jessica's with him now.
All right, Coach, 2 events in for you guys. We just came off a solid rotation at vault. Overall, how do you feel about where this team stands with 2 events left?
I thought we were doing what we're supposed to do. It's a really nice scenario for us. Came in with not huge expectations, but just with the idea that we're going to hit all of our routines. And so far, we're right on, and hopefully we'll keep moving that way.
And I wanted to ask you about Brittany Watkins. Just how solid has she been for you guys all season? Obviously, 2 great routines so far today.
Britt's been our best all-arounder for a couple of years now. She was her regular season All-American last year out of Babylon Beam, kept her out of nationals, and this year she's been rock solid most of the season for us and just keeps getting better.
And what do you need to see from your team on these final 2 events to hopefully compete for that 2nd spot?
Our job is to go hit 12 more routines, and that's what we're going to worry about. If we get to the 2nd spot, that's awesome, but the 12 routines are the important part.
Coach, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, good to see Mark Stevenson here in his 35th year at NC State. Look at this, Scott Bauman at Southern Utah has 21 years with the program, and Tanya and her husband Mike Chaplin at Oregon State, 18th year there as well. So a lot of seniority in the coaching ranks in today's competition. Get ready for the 3rd of 6 rotations. Southern Utah will be on the vault, Missouri on the unevens, Oregon State moves to the beam, and Penn State will be on the floor. Chelsea Tang has had a terrific year for her team, 22nd nationally on the balance beam, and you see the lineups there in this 3rd of 6 rotations. Chelsea Tang out of Oregon State. She has been one of their top performers as they do their final one-touch warm-ups. In this rotation, the teams that we will be focusing on are primarily Oregon State, Penn State. Missouri off to a good start, as we saw on the vault. They moved to the uneven bars, and I've known they've improved a great deal. I saw them in a dual meet that they hosted Alabama about a month ago, and I'm really impressed with Shannon Welker and the work he's done in just 2 years there to bring that program up to the tier 1 of the collegiate programs. Of course, they were thrust into the SEC,
right.
so many of the top teams in the country out of the SEC. So Missouri doesn't have a lot of wins over there, but I like the trajectory. It seems to me like he's doing a great job with them. And, you know, if they hit today, they could be contending for one of those team spots as well. Remember, the Sooners are in the lead and expected to dominate this competition and advance to the national championship. But all these other teams are looking for that other spot and try to make it to the Nationals, which will be 2 weeks from now down in Fort Worth, Texas. There's Shannon Welker with Missouri. In this rotation, Southern Utah will be on the vault. Of course, these are final touch warm-ups, so you don't worry about these gymnasts saving their ankles for the landing in competitions. Penn State will be on the floor, and Rochelle Thompson giving a few notes to Alexis Carroll, who is their leadoff performer there. Jeff Thompson and his wife Rochelle were formerly at Auburn University, and now they are in their 5th season running the program for Penn State, and they had a very good year this year. Solid start to finish, and they're happy with how they look coming into the postseason. But boy, did they have a rough start today. They had to count a fall on beam, so they're low 47.95, not what they had hoped for. Maybe they can pick it back up here on the floor.
Well, it's a great event to come back when you're aggravated and frustrated, because you want to use all that emotion in your tumbling to get higher and bigger and show it off. good person to start out for them is because her highest score this year has been a 9.925. You always want that steady Eddie going first, and especially after what happened on the balance beam. And
she had a 9.8, excuse me, Kelly. She had a 9.8 at the recent Big Ten championship. One thing notable about Penn State is they actually have 3 all-around gymnasts competing in today's event. The Sooners have no all-arounders. They have a combination of, event specialists, essentially.
Right. Well, it is hard competing week in and week out as an all-arounder, and it takes a toll on the body. And so it's a benefit to be able to have those specialists each week. They don't get as tired. They're not doing a leg event on, 3 times.
Lexi Carroll, the senior out of Olney, Maryland.
Great start. Penn State needed that routine just to kind of get them back in the groove. Very good to see her tumbling pass again. Clean. Exactly what's needed to do.
Once again, Southern Utah is on vault. Missouri is on the bars. Oregon State on the beam, and Penn State on the floor in this particular rotation.
Well, and it makes you wonder if Oregon State, you might keep your eye on that box down there because they know they have the opportunity here, yet they're going on to the event, the dreaded balance beam. So we'll get to see how they handle the pressure now.
See for Oregon State down there, Sylvia Palusi-Palaya. She is getting set to go there, and she was formerly at the University of Florida. She is one of 3 gymnasts. And she's a transfer gymnast at the Oregon State. On the floor now for Penn State, Sydney Sanabria-Robles. We saw her earlier on the beam.
Coach told me she has a infectious personality, so I hope to be entertained. The key for Penn State is to stay in bounds, hit every landing. They need to count everything at this point if there's even a chance. I can't help but feel like I have one eyeball on the main screen and one on the balance beam. Split vision. Hit routine for Oregon State. The key at this point is just staying on, as you know, Bart, just staying on the beam.
The leadoff score for Alexis Carroll on Penn State's floor was a 9.775. Charisse Witherby led off for Penn State on the floor, had a 9.65. Excuse me, the other way around. Alexis Carroll had the 9.775 for Penn State on the floor. 9.65 only for Witherby for Oregon State on the beam. So Penn State put themselves about a point in the hole after the first event, and they've gained back 1/10 of a point in this first matchup.
Well, really, they should just go all out because they have nothing to lose at this point. You know, there's no holding back. Looks like her coach is saying the same thing. Just go, 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 go big, go. You've got it. For Oregon State on the balance beam, you have a real treat of getting to see a little bit of personality there from Marisa Perez. She is just a treat. She was a transfer, and she has just done from Arizona State, I think, and she has just done wonderful. She was originally going to major in dance, But her real love and passion is Cirque du Soleil, and being from Las Vegas, she's. I talked to her. She was just really excited about finishing up and hopefully getting involved in that.
She did transfer from Arizona State. Khalosi Pelayev transferred from Florida, and Jamie Rodermacher transferred from Eastern Washington. So 3 of their members on their team transferred in. Must be good things happening up there to get so many transfer athletes.
Well, it certainly says a lot about the coaching staff, Tanya and Michael Chaplin. Save on the uneven bars. Wow, she got power. A little bit low on the chest and the landing, so they will deduct there, but...
It's Ani Timothy, pardon me, from Rochester, New York. She's just a freshman.
Another hit routine for the Beavers.
Score, by the way, for her teammate Sydney Sanabia Robles had a 9.825, so Penn State doing a good job there.
Finishing double pike, not an easy task.
Great difficulty in that routine. Nicely done.
Be curious to see how that score is compared to the others, because the chest was a little bit down on the first pass, but the difficulty level was so much higher, so we'll see. Here we go. Get to see it one more time. The double layout. You see the chest? That step forward says it all. Little, not quite as much amplitude as really needed, but still difficult routine.
As you look down to the bottom of your screen, Katiana McMillan will be set for the beam. And as we watch Penn State on the floor, maybe we can expand on this story a little bit. So last year, these two teams, Penn State and Oregon State, were extremely close throughout the whole season. When it came to the NCAA regional, Oregon State thought they had qualified through, and so they finished their competition. They were on a bye. Penn State was hosting the meet in State College, and they just went out of the park, knocked their routines out of the park on the floor, and ended up upsetting Oregon State by 0.2 of a point to qualify to the NCAA. So there's a little intensity here, because Oregon State felt like they should have gone on to qualify for the Nationals, but it didn't happen. To Penn State's credit, they nailed their routines and moved on. So because they're ranked 12th and 13th again this year, expectations that in coming into this meet that it could come down to these two teams once again battling it out for that second spot, assuming the Sooners continue to roll forward and earn the top spot to the Nationals.
That's right. And oh, that step out is not good. It certainly does not help.
That's Brianna Tsang, who's one of their most complete and balanced gymnasts for Penn State on the floor.
This is such an intense moment because it is balance beam. I mean, if they were competing on vault right now, it would be a different feeling, but I can't help but feeling tense myself. I'm not even out there. Another hit routine.
Ani Timothy, we saw her with that double layout. She scored a 9.75 on floor.
You know, I was asking some of the girls and the coaches about their feeling of competing against the other team and if they felt vengeance. And, you know, gymnastics, it's a quality sport. I mean, it's not like they have trash talk at the chalk box. And so it's nothing personal right here. It's just getting down to business. The coaches staff, both coaches said it really just depends on who hits today. Both teams are great teams.
As we watch her replay, I'm going to update you with the scores over there for Oregon State. After Witherby's 9.65, Perez had a 9.85, Calusi Palaez a 9.8 on beam. We do not yet have the score for McMillan, but Chelsea Tang will be up next.
She had a nice recover on the floor. Just not sure if it's going to be enough when Oregon is hitting balance beam. I mean, you don't wish for a miss by a gymnast, just from a safety standpoint in our sport, but it really comes down to probably having, Oregon State's going to have a pretty major flaw in one of their events. This is what they've worked for all their life, is this pressure situation. And they actually train this. It's kind of like being on the basketball, and saying this is the shot that wins the game, the championship. This is what these girls train for.
Emma Simpson will be
how beautiful
next up
the balance beam.
for
Wow.
Penn State on the floor. She is the sophomore out of Allen, Texas. Second team All Big Ten in 2015, competed in 25 career meets for Penn State.
Beautiful. Again, I couldn't quite tell because of the mat whether she stepped out or not. I'm guessing no. Her floor routine reminds me of the routine the Sooners on the balance beam, that succinct, exact gymnastics, very clean and polished. She has lots of skills. She's not holding back. She's got difficult tumbling.
I really like her presentation.
I do too. It's so dynamic.
It has that sort of elite look, doesn't it?
No, I'm being engaged too. Sucked into this routine. It's beautiful. Last pass, Rudy, clean. They certainly needed that routine. It was beautiful, difficult, engaging. Get a chance here to see her last tumbling pass. If you're watching, you can just see her presentation all the way through to her fingertips. Another beautiful move on the balance beam. I've noticed that the choreography is unique. They do some turns, slide into splits. They're not holding back either, Oregon State.
Madeline Gardner, an outstanding club gymnast from Canada. She was the alternate for the Olympic team in 2012.
Well, she's used to pressure. When you compete at that level, you know what it's like to have to hit. She looks extremely poised on the balance beam. It's like she's doing it on a line.
Her club coach was Yelena Davidova, the former Olympic champion from the former Soviet Union.
Explains a lot. Beautiful. Oregon State is really knocking it out of the park. They're wanting to confirm the deal. It's only third rotation.
They have had solid scores there, 9.775. As I mentioned earlier, the 1.965 they'll likely drop, but then 3 scores in the 9.8 or above.
Ooh. Just to explain the reason Bart and I both oofed is because of that landing. that we just saw on the floor exercise. Sometimes when they land kind of stiff-legged like that, you can hyperextend your knee. She obviously is okay.
Crystal Welch, the senior out of Bowie, Maryland, had the 9.25, one of the 2 botched routines, unfortunately, on beams. So a chance here to hit a solid routine when they need it. No huge scores for Penn State here. As I mentioned, a 9.625 is the one they'd like to drop. The rest of the scores range between 9.75 and 9.825.
Well, in floor exercise is normally the event you're going to see some of those higher scores. It's just easier to, quote unquote, not fall off the floor. Going into last pass, ending with a double pike. Wow. Their difficulty is there. It's just that fall from the balance beam.
And finishing up on the beam down there, Taylor Alex, one of the individual qualifiers from Arizona State University.
Oh.
Jeff Thompson giving some notes.
She is so fit. If you look at her body, every time she moves, her muscles and her legs just pop out. It's so beautiful to watch. I'm like, oh, that's what your gymnast is supposed to look like.
Valerie Ingui out of Linwood will be their next performer. She doesn't compete for the Nittany Lions. She competes for the Linwood Lions, and she's an individual qualifier here to these regional championships. Once again, the goal here is to be in the top 2 teams to qualify to the national championships. But if you're an all-around gymnast or an individual gymnast who is not part of the top teams in the country, then you can come here as an individual and try to qualify through to the NCAAs as an individual.
Her coach told me she is a debutante from Georgia. Southern Belle. You can see her. She has a really sweet demeanor and smile. But she is in the hunt. You can see it right there. That's one of those leotards we were talking about earlier. The $1 million leotard. Love this music. Catch yourself tapping your foot to the music. She heads into that last pass. Let's see what it is. Rudy has difficulty. It doesn't look as difficult as if someone did their nice double tuck or double pike at the end, but it's still difficult. She too is trying to qualify for that all-around competition, and she's hit so far.
And that'll wrap up competition in the 3rd rotation here. We're at the halfway point. Oklahoma, as expected, is leading. We'll update you on the scores when we come back. NC State is having a very strong competition. They have done 2 of their better events already, so they are doing a terrific job. They are up there in the standings, and we're at the halfway point in today's 2015 NCAA Regional. The Oklahoma Sooners will be back in competition in this next rotation as they will move to the floor exercise. And welcome back to the Lloyd Noble Center here in Norman, Oklahoma. Here are the team scores after 3 rotations. Now, each team at this point has done 2 events because there's also a bye. So the Oklahoma Sooners 98-65. And exciting for Southern Utah, who is ranked 22nd in the country. They are currently 2nd after strong performances on floor and vault in their first 2 rotations, just .45 behind the Sooners. And Oregon State finds themselves in 3rd, North Carolina State, Missouri, and Penn State has dug a hole for themselves. They are currently in 6th. Southern Utah, 7th NCAA appearance in 8 years. Had a very strong season here in 2015, and their head coach Scott Bauman is with Jessica now.
Scott, you and I were just sitting here talking, 2nd after 2 events complete. Got to feel good about that right now.
We love where we're at. This is, you know, in this regional, we figured this is going to be a race for 2nd place between the 4 or 5 lower teams, because Oklahoma's probably going to win this meet. So we just want to finish up where we're at right now.
And you were telling me this is a team full of maybe not any standouts, but they all work together, they all come together, and they all perform solidly. As a coach, how nice is it to have a team that just, they all come together and do their job?
This is, you know, this has been one of the easiest teams I've ever coached. They work so good together, and there really isn't any standouts on this team. There isn't a standout event or anything. We're just really solid, and we plod along throughout meets like this, and the girls just keep working, keep fighting. That's what's best about them.
And you were also telling me your 2 highest averages events coming up next on bars and beam. What do you need to see out of your team on those 2 events?
You know, we just need to stay calm and continue the consistency that we've been showing. They, you know, they look calm. They warmed up great. I feel comfortable that they're going to do fine.
And you guys were here for regionals 2 years ago. Familiar with this building. How much do you feel like that's helped your team out as well this year?
Oh, that's helped us out tremendously, because we didn't do that great when we were here last time. We did okay, but, you know, this time, you know, they seemed a lot more calm, more relaxed. They know this facility, the environment. So it's been really exciting to see them perform under the pressure like this.
Thank you so much for your time. Best of luck the rest of the way.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bart, back up to you.
Southern Utah off to a terrific start, and their best events coming up, so we'll be following them as well. Rotation 4 here at the NCAA Norman Regional. You see the Oklahoma Sooners will move to the floor. Brenna Dow will be one of the athletes to watch, and she has had an amazing immediate impact as a freshman this year. You can see 4th nationally on floor exercise, 9.975 season high, and she was recently acknowledged as the Big 12 Newcomer of the Year.
Brenna is just a phenomenal gymnast to watch. She is, you know, when she first came here, I noticed that she had the talent, but now I'm really starting to see her blossom, Bart. She's just coming into her own. She's gaining the confidence, and she's starting to smile and enjoy her gymnastics a little bit, which that's what college gymnastics really brings, is the enjoyment of and the love of the sport.
Good point. There's a big difference between when these athletes compete as elite gymnasts, when they're with their club coaches. They're, in many cases, sort of on their own. It's a very difficult elite journey, and she reached the highest levels and made the World Championship team and an alternate to the Olympic team. So she made it about as far as you can go in elite gymnastics, and yet the collegiate experience is completely different, isn't it?
It is, and I asked her, and she said, I just haven't really, it hasn't sunk in yet. You know, she just, typical young gymnast, she's just doing what she's told to do. And what she doesn't yet realize is that you are supposed to enjoy what you're doing and show the audience your love of the sport and let it come through in your performance. It's okay to smile and yet focus and concentrate all at the same time. It's funny because, you know, private club gymnasts, they don't seem to do that. They look so serious. And
well, that elite level is pretty intense, and she reached the highest of that. So, but the college thing is different. The level of difficulty is not as high. There's huge expectations on these gymnasts, but they're doing routines that are less challenging in terms of risk and originality and difficulty, aren't they?
They are, and even for some of them, like Brenna, she might even have one less tumbling pass compared to, you know, in Olympic level, they usually have 4 tumbling passes, not just 3. So for her, that might feel like it's a little bit easier. And also she has friends cheering her on.
One thing that's different about the postseason is there's 6 teams here, 6 rotations. So the Sooners are now coming off a bye. They don't normally have a bye during the regular season because they compete event to event, but this is after a great performance on the beam. They sat out a rotation, and now they're back in action on the floor with Chase Katz.
You know, Chase...
Oh, my goodness.
Well, I'll tell you what's going on here is the Sooners are really trying to find Chase's exact place here. They had her doing double layouts mid-season. She wasn't quite doing them as stellar, as perfect as Coach Kindler would like. So now they moved her back into double pike position, double pike first pass. I just think they're trying to find that consistent, solid place for her. So she knows it too. That doesn't totally surprise me. She has struggled a tiny bit this year on floor exercise, which is so bizarre because she's so great. But I have no doubt Coach Kindler will make it happen and figure it out for her. Last pass, that's always fun to watch. I have to admit, her dance and her polish looks better than I've seen in the last several competitions she's been in. She just needs to get back to those perfect landings. She'll be good to go. Here's a look at that double pike. She's just so high, she pulled her feet underneath her instead of letting it just land. She almost tries too hard, this kid. I'm like, let your talent take over. Again, and even that last pass was just, it was good. It wasn't great. And that's never enough to win a national championship, and Coach Kindler knows that, especially first one out of the box. You got to have that clean performance, just saying, here we are. I mean, what if they're first up at nationals on floor?
Tom Haley giving a couple of notes to Kara Levon.
Kara has really outdone herself. She and Coach Kindler together have combined, choreographed this floor routine to match her personality. If you look at Kara, you would never think she has this cute, quirky sense of humor. And once you see her floor routine, you're like, oh, now I know Kara.
Levon is a sophomore out of Des Moines, Iowa, did her club training at Triad Gymnastics. Keep in mind, in this rotation, we have Penn State on the ball, North Carolina State on the uneven bars, and Missouri celebrating a successful performance on the beam over there.
Kara's routine and her gymnastics this year has really become a crowd favorite, especially on floor.
Currently ranked 20th in the country on this event.
You know, she's only 4'8", and so for her to be able to pop up in the air like that, so adorable. One thing you'll notice when watching all the Sooners on floor is they really spot out and look into the audience, and Coach Kindler coaches that. She'll have the girls all line up around the floor, and they have to look at each gymnast as they're performing in training to get them to learn to spot out.
Very strong pike double at the end of the floor routine. That's the kind of difficulty at the end of the routine that the championship teams have by the time NCAAs come around.
Well, and she's second up. So it's not like it's the last kid on the team, your last girl up. It's her second. They just have depth That's one thing that was missing several years ago with the Sooners. Not just that power, but the depth. You know, the number 2 girl up is sometimes just as great as that last girl up. So nice. Here's Coach Tom Haley. Does most of the coaching on tumbling for the Sooners. Never quite heard the crowd this boisterous before here at Lloyd Noble. They know that this is what it's coming down to.
Well, and there are people cheering for different events at different times. You're hearing a lot of cheers over there on B. Missouri pleased with their efforts over there.
Looks like they have a pretty good cheering section and for Missouri also. You know, it's not too far of a drive for mom and dad. So.
Brenna Dowell now for the Sooners on the floor.
This is the event that Brenna has really come into her own. I think she was so shocked when she won the Big 12 championship. Oh, nice. Wow. Oh, man, she's taken it to a whole new level here.
Chase Capps had a 9.775 in the leadoff role. Cara Levon, a 9.9.
I'm telling you, they love that routine. You can see her look right at you. It's almost in, it makes you almost feel a little uncomfortable. You're like, okay. Outstanding. Wow. I love her innocence. My goodness, it's just written all over her face. She doesn't realize how great she is.
One of the most decorated recruits to come to the University of Oklahoma. Just a freshman out of Odessa, Missouri. Brenna Dowell she shows the difficulty that an elite level gymnast does, but she also has the polish that scores well in college. Bright future ahead for her.
You know, coming up next too, you can see on the screen getting ready and getting some words from Coach Haley is Allie Jackson. And Allie has also become a crowd favorite here, and she is so tough, having had an injury earlier this year, a really bizarre injury. She fell off the beam and her knee popped her in the forehead. And she had to get stitches in her forehead. So she was ready, though, the very next day. Coach Gilmer said she was at practice, and we're like, cool it, take a day off, you know? Maybe you should not turn upside down today.
The freshman out of Belton, Missouri. In her club training with Kim Fuchs up there. Eagles Gymnastics. She's the Big 12 Vault co-champion and the Big 12 Event Specialist of the Year.
Well, we talked about this at the beginning of the coverage about these two freshmen stellar athletes. You're going to see why right here. Look at her power.
Oh, too much so. Out of bounds. That was a huge opening tumbling run.
It was
almost laid out.
Almost laid out, no kidding. Really starting to see her too understand what college gymnastics is all about. She's the girl that if you're not watching closely in practice, you'll catch her dancing. She's busted a move over in the corner.
By the way, Brenna Dowell had a 9-9. So the Sooners had the 9-7-7-5, and then 2 9-9s for Dowell and Lovan.
With that step out, you know, that's going to make a difference in this score for her. I just look at it as one more practice for them before they head into NCAAs to say, how hard do I need to go? That's the landing they want.
This opening tumbling pass, considered a full-in pike, but she's so open, it's almost laid out. It's just remarkable, isn't it?
Watch here. Whoa. I have no doubt they'll be doing a couple of those this week in practice and getting that just nailed down perfectly.
Good control on that pike double at the end. Haley Skaman. She's the anchor performer, and she has scored perfection both on the vault and the floor, and I love her routine this year, this kind of bluesy,
I do too.
slow performance accompanying her explosive power.
You know, she's the only person I know that has her own cheering squad in Chicago. Uncle Crud, her uncle, just puts together a big party for everybody to watch party. You don't normally hear about that in gymnastics too much, but real glad that they do, and maybe that'll be a new trend for college gymnastics.
I can't wait to see Uncle Crud and his gang. Hopefully we'll see him at Fort Worth at the NCAA championships
There is
in
no doubt.
a couple of years. All right, the Big 12 Gymnast of the Year. Ranked 7th on the floor in the NCAA, and a very quiet, humble superstar for the Sooners.
Powerful double layout. You could walk underneath that thing.
Quick report of the score. Allie Jackson had a 9-7-7-5.
Just love it. If you're not moving right now, I'm not sure you're human. There's just something about the way she moves to this music makes you want to move too. She did that like cake. Boy, Nationals is going to be a tough one to determine the all-around or the floor exercise champion. To see her against a Lemencia Hall and a Keitra Hunter and just event finals is going to be something to watch.
Only one uncharacteristic stumble for Haley Skaman on the floor since she's been at Oklahoma. Had a bobble on the floor exercise routine against Alabama, but the Sooners were still strong enough to beat Alabama down in Tuscaloosa and remain undefeated in the regular season. Brown for the Sooners now.
Natalie has her own unique sense of style on the floor exercise, and Her music is slower, more dramatic. She comes from Woga Gymnastics, right where those many Olympians come from, and college greats, just like Taylor Spears.
The reason we're seeing Natalie Brown in the lineup today, Erica Brewer was in the lineup, but taken out just prior to the meet. So Natalie Brown, who has been on and off in an alternate role and sometimes exhibition role on the floor, gets a chance to go as the anchor performer after Haley Skaman. That's an honor. Skaman, by the way, hit a 9.975.
Chickens, weren't they? They were just chickens, those judges. You can only imagine what it's like. You can see Kirsten over there on the balance beam, what it must be like with all that, all of a sudden, huge cheer when you're up there. She's doing a fantastic job keeping her composure. Really pretty. It's a unique sense of style, just like I said.
Freshman out of Dallas, Texas, did her club training at WOGA, the World Olympic Gymnastics Academy, which has produced a couple of Olympic all-around champions, and Nastia Lukin and Carly Patterson. Good confidence builder for Natalie Brown to make the lineup today when Erica Brewer was taken out of the floor rotation.
Well, and as a freshman, you know, this is the type of experience you need, because when Coach Kindler, she's smart and putting her in. So next year, as she works into that lineup, she can say, oh, yeah, I've done that regionals. It's no big deal.
Not only is she strong on the floor, but she also happens to be a singer. Has 2 songs that she released on iTunes this year. So a super talented young lady, Natalie Brown out of Dallas, Texas. Gabby May now from University of Illinois Chicago, who is competing along with the Sooners in an all-around spot, hoping to qualify for the NCAA championships as an individual all-around competitor.
You know, she says her favorite memory so far in gymnastics is having received 2 bronze medals for Team Canada, competing at the Commonwealth Games. She's out to prove something to herself, having taken a fall on balance beam.
Quick score report, Natalie Brown at 9.9 as well.
One thing that is so impressive about these college gymnasts, like I said, it's not just their ability, but Gabrielle has also had a 4.0 GPA in high school and in college. So she's dedicated, not just in the gym.
I have to say, I think Natalie Brown benefited a little bit from going after Haley Skaman in the anchor position. She's a lovely gymnast, and she doesn't yet have quite the difficulty to get the huge score, but she sure has the clean performance and polish.
Well, that's a good example of showing the TV audience how scores build, because clearly, like you said, she doesn't have the difficulty. A 9.9 compared to Haley Skaman 9.9. Really not the same, but maybe it'll give her the boost to next year, work over the summer to get her tumbling passes even harder, more difficult, so she can be in that consistent lineup.
Good job for Gabby May from University of Illinois Chicago to wrap up competition in the 4th rotation here. And when we come back, the Oklahoma Sooners will move to the vault. Southern Utah to the uneven bars. North Carolina State will be on the beam, and Oregon State will move to the floor exercise in the 5th of 6 rotations when we come back to Norman, Oklahoma. Don't go away. Welcome back inside Lloyd Noble Center here at the University of Oklahoma. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Norman, Oklahoma, and we're glad you've joined us. The Oklahoma Sooners here in the NCAA Regional have a score of 148-1. They're in the lead. Missouri is currently in second. NC State third. Penn State is in fourth. Southern Utah and Oregon State, please note, they have only done 2 events, so it's not competing apples to apples yet until everybody's done at least 3 events. And in this case, Southern Utah 98-2 was in second after 2 events, and Oregon State just behind them. Penn State has had a strong season throughout, but they had a rough day on the beam, and right now Jessica is with their head coach, Jeff Thompson.
A couple of uncharacteristic falls for you guys to start off on beam. How do you feel like your team responded on floor and vault?
Well, anytime you only hit 2 routines out of 6, like you hit them in the gym to start a meet like this, it puts you under pressure. We talked about it in the locker room. We came out. I thought they did good floor. They didn't do great floor. They were trying too hard. We had an out of bounds. We had some uncharacteristic steps. But then we went over to vault, and we settled down, and we vaulted like we normally vault. 49-2 in a meet like this is a great score. So, you know, we thought we were going to be at a bye and come out and try to see where we stood. And at this point, it's just about coming out and nailing all of our landings on bars and making as good a score as we can.
And your Big Ten Freshman of the Year, Brianna, saying we just saw a great vault from her as well. How bright is her future for Penn State?
Well, that kid's a stud. She's just got to figure it out mentally, and sometimes she puts too much pressure on herself. You know, it's the, gosh, I had a good meet, and I had a good meet, and I had a good meet, and when am I going to have a bad meet kind of thing, waiting for the shoe to drop. And she's done such a good year of maturing, or a good job of maturing this year that sky's the limit for her. She's so much fun to coach. She has a new bar dismount that she learned with us, and you know, it's still a little iffy, so we're going to cross our fingers and hope she sticks it, comes away with a good score. You know, anytime you have good kids that work hard, you want them to do well, and you know, Brianna's one of those kids.
Thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, Jeff Thompson there with Penn State. Okay, in the rotation number 5, the Oklahoma Sooners will be on the vault. Penn State is on a bye before bars. Southern Utah on bars. NC State on beam. Missouri is on the bye before floor. And then Oregon State is actually on the floor. Haley Skaman, one of the athletes to watch for the Sooners. We saw her earlier on the floor. She's had 5 perfect 10s in her career, 3 on the floor and 2 on the vault. And Kelly, what can you say about this explosive gymnast? It's almost as she doesn't realize how good she is.
Oh, and maybe that's part of it, because she doesn't. And she just goes out and expects perfection from herself and brings it every time. And what Coach Kindler has told me is she's all in every aspect, even in her diet. And, you know, she's the girl that's going to pack salmon or an egg or something and bring it on a road trip or something. And so from every angle, she wants to be a champion, and she's becoming a leader and I don't think that was her goal when she came. You know, some people, I'm going to be the coach and the team captain. That's not her. That's not her demeanor. She is so sweet and humble. She's the girl you would want if they said pick your team. You know, I'm like, okay, she's going to be on my team first. I'm going to pick her first, and I'm going to pick someone. She's that girl. I just can't say enough about her. Physically, she's beautiful, so fit. That's one thing I love about the Sooners is their bodies are in good shape. You know, there's some gymnasts out there that just aren't as peak shape as they could be. And that's one thing that Coach Kindler really emphasizes, because healthy bodies limit the number of injuries that can happen. Haley Skaman's got it going on.
Okay, 4 events going simultaneously. We had originally Charity Jones in the lineup for the leadoff position for the Sooners on the vault, but it's Carol Levon gets the call today. Southern Utah is on bars, NC State on the beam, and Oregon State on the floor.
You know, Coach Kindler was telling me it's frustrating because Kara, being so tiny, she can only get so much distance and power from her vault. And so it may not appear like she's got as much amplitude as the other gymnasts, when in fact she does.
Yeah, her power is deceiving. You
It
really
is.
don't expect her to be quite so explosive.
Which tells you she has tremendous technique, or she wouldn't even be able to. It's a nice vault. Landing wasn't exactly there, but started them off okay. Miss Competitive is up next for the Sooners on vault, Keely Kamichek.
She's done her part today for the Sooners. Had a 9.85 on bars, a 9.875 on beam.
Wow, I love her form.
Looks like she came a little high onto
Yeah,
the vault
yeah.
table, and yet she still didn't panic, did she? She
Right.
kept really impeccable body line and form throughout.
No, I can't believe her. I mean, toes look pointed in the air. I'm like, really? And so close to the stick here. Oh, look at that body. That right there, everyone, is what the Sooners do different. You keep asking what it is that makes them champions. You know, that right there is it.
It's interesting when you do it in slow motion, you can still see perfection. Sometimes in slow motion, you see the feet apart a little bit, or the knees bent, or the toes hooked a little bit. But even in super slow-mo,
Right.
she is just precise and solid.
You know, Brenna Dow, except on vault, she's so big time. She does that full and a half. You're going to see it. It's one of the most difficult vaults you're going to see in college gymnastics. And for her, it's all about finding control, finding the landing.
9.85 was the score for Carol Levon. Here's Brenna Dowell. Oh.
Sneaky, sneaky.
You know, it's interesting. She can do a double twister. She can even do a 2.5 twister, but she prefers to land forward because it's easier on her ankles.
Right.
Some of the gymnasts do a full, Yurchenko full, many of them do, but she would prefer doing a 1.5. Not only is it more difficult, but in fact, she likes landing forward because she doesn't want to sting her ankles.
You know, you have to say something about this coaching staff, too, is for them to say, look, I need you to focus on pointing your toes in the air this time or straightening your legs. You know, perfect form. It continues to amaze me.
Keely Kamichek had a 9.875 to follow Levon's 9.85, so solid scores there for the Sooners so far. Brenna Dahl hit her vault, and Chase Capps will be next. Once again, Southern Utah on bars, Danielle Ramirez set to go. NC State on beam, and Oregon State on floor. Oh, wow.
They're just playing with it, aren't they? It's just like they're toying with the perfect stick.
It was on the vault at the NCAA championships last year that the Sooners were just lights out. And they stuck all of their vaults, and that was the reason they ended up being co-champions along with the University of Florida. If you think about it, you're counting 5 scores. If every gymnast takes a slight step, let's say 1/10 of a point, that's a half a point, which is a huge difference in college gymnastics. So at the championship level, and the Sooners are well in the lead here, so sticking the landings won't be crucial. But in 2 weeks from now at the NCAA championships, they'll have to stick those landings if they hope to try to win a national title again.
That's right. And you know, not just on, that's on vault only. If you counted it on bars and balance beam, that's 1.5.
And 1.5 in women's gymnastics is like a 20-point win in football.
Right.
A.J. Jackson now. Oh, there's a landing.
She almost said, I dare you. A devil dog dare you to not give me a 10.
That's a huge Yurchenko worth of 1.5, like Brenna Dowell. Here's a young lady who swept the Missouri State Championships on all events, and KJ Kindler says she's a stud in the making.
Yeah. Oh, you could so see why.
Wow.
I love this reaction. You betcha, baby.
Chase Capps had a 9.875.
No. too much for those judges to throw a 10.
Well, the scores haven't really built to there
right,
because they
right,
have only
Bart.
199 from Brenna Dahl, who didn't stick her landing.
Right.
So
You're
typically
right.
a 10 comes after a
That's right.
995.
So maybe here we go.
And Haley Skaman.
I mean, it is
The
Skaman
stage is
after
set.
all,
And this will be the
right?
final performance for the Sooners in today's regional. Oh, that's such a magnificent Yurchenko full. And you can see the score there, by the way, was a 995 for Allie Jackson. Skaman's technique and her explosiveness off the vault table is just world class.
Watch right here. Look how high. Pop. That is exactly how it should be done.
Sometimes gymnasts have their shoulders forward and they pike down a little bit. Not here. This is really
And she flares.
chest up when
she's
she
so
lands.
big time, right?
That's magnificent.
And look at her face. Just,
And a 995. Well, actually, the 995 was the score for AJ, so we do not yet have the official score for Haley Skaman, but expect it to be in that range as we see Gabby May finishing up her competition today.
Good vault for her. Yurchenko full.
Score, by the way, in now for Haley Skaman was a 9.925.
It makes you wonder, Bart, you know, she has a little bit of an arch when she flares, and it makes me wonder if they don't perhaps deduct on that because it's not a straight line. What are your thoughts?
I like how she flares it out that way. I'm thinking that she just didn't stay long enough in the stick position.
Yeah.
She stepped out of it, and so, you know, if a judge is looking for a 1/2 tenth deduction, they could probably find it there, but that's the only place. All right, let's join the bars in progress now. Southern Utah, as we mentioned, after 2 events, was in 2nd place. That is Kristen Yee finishing her performance.
You also just missed an outstanding floor routine with Perez. She's the one I mentioned on the balance beam earlier. She just wants to be in Cirque du Soleil. She loves to dance. I was watching her yesterday in practice. She is just such a pleasant, fun personality to watch on the floor exercise, and great dancing.
Kristen Yee has scored 995 on the bars for Southern Utah. And the final performer is Arlen Amore. Typically a consistent routine in the 9.6 to 9.8 range.
Nice straddle back hand. A little bit short on the handstands. That's probably why you're seeing the 9.8s, 9.7s from her. We'll see if she's nice, pretty dismount. Unfortunate step, but clean routine. I know that Southern Utah, their best events, they performed. And bars is consistent for them too. They're ranked 20th in the country.
And their best event is the beam, which will be their final event today, where they're 19th in the country. So they were 2nd in the team competition after vault were their 23rd and floor were their 31st. So in terms of competing up to their potential, Southern Utah having a very strong meet. In contrast to Penn State, disappointed, obviously. You could hear it in Jeff Thompson's voice that they kind of dug a hole for themselves on the beam, and they've had a hard time getting out.
Looks like floor is going well for Oregon State. Consistent 9/8.
Ashley Thomas will be the final performer here in this rotation on bars. She is out of Southeast Missouri, one of the individual qualifiers in today's competition. As I mentioned earlier, the top 2 teams advance, but individuals who are not on the top teams in the country have a chance to compete at regionals and have a shot at qualifying for nationals.
Ashley's such a hard worker. Started out as a walk-on. Now most consistent on their team. Nice blind full right to the double back and a stuck landing. Fantastic. She's in that hunt to get that position to qualify as that individual, like you said, in the all-around.
Oh. We're going to join the floor exercise now for Oregon State. Madeline Gardner is getting set to perform there. She has had an extensive elite background in competition. She competed in the Youth Olympics. And I first met her when she came to Oklahoma a few years ago to compete in the Nadia Comaneci International Invitational. So it's been fun to follow her progress. This is the best event for the Oregon State Beavers. They are 7th in the country on floor, averaging a 49.36. If they hope to secure that 2nd spot in the team competition, they can do it with strong floor exercise performances here.
Beautiful 2.5. Again, one of those high, difficult tumbling passes.
Their scores range between 9.825 for Cherise Witherby to 2.985 for Risa Perez and Jamie Rodemaker. And Chelsea Tang had a 9.875. So the stage is set for their 2 anchor performers, including Gardner here.
She had such an original 2nd pass. It's kind of starting to be the trend to see the gymnast tumble and then leap out of it. Adds a little variety. It's unusual to hear classical music, but combined. Another Coach Chaplin does all the choreography. Wow, that was close. She might not have stepped out.
There's an Oklahoma connection here. Brittany Harris, who is a former gymnast from Tulsa, is one of the graduate assistant coaches there. She was a competitor at Oregon State, and I asked her, I said, tell me a little bit about Madeline Gardner. She goes, oh, this young lady is a competitor.
Well, you can see why, not only just in her tumbling, but also in her dance and the presence that she brings.
Gardner, one of 2 all-arounders in today's competition. They will be acknowledging all-around and individual event winners here, but most of the focus is who can qualify through and advance to the national championships for the teams. The Sooners have completed their effort, and their score of 197.625 will not be topped by anybody else on the floor. What remains to be seen is what is that 2nd place team. Tanya Chaplin is the head coach, along with her husband Mike, who's the associate head coach at Oregon State. They were both UCLA gymnasts and done a great job up there. And we go back a lot of years. It was good to see them here.
It is. Just to visit and catch up and talk about old times. But she's making new memories and lots of great gymnasts. They're all wanting to come to Oregon State. Did you notice that?
Katie Anna McMillan now. She's is one of the 2 all-arounders after Madeline Gardner. She is returning to the lineup after recovering from plantar fasciitis. The coaching staff said it was great to have her back competing, a big boost for the team here late in the season.
She competed in the all-around for the first time just last weekend. Impressed with their choreography too. It's my first chance to see Oregon State this year, and their choreography is very, very good. You kind of get used to just everyone seeing the same tumbling, so that really does differentiate each team. Love that ending.
Beautiful, and a 9.85 was the score for Madeline Gardner before her. So a 9.825, 3 9.85s, and a 9.875 for Oregon State on the floor. The event where they are ranked 7th in the country, the best of their 4 events. So they finished strong here.
As you can see in the smaller screen, Sammy King finishing up on the balance beam. A really neat dismount. Gainer full off the end. I talked to her and I said, I bet you're quite something at the swimming pool in the summertime doing those gainers.
So Oregon State has completed their full competition here. We do not yet have the score for Katie Anna McMillan, but expect it to be strong. This is Taylor Alex from ASU. She is one of their individual qualifiers, hoping to earn a spot as an individual into the NCAA championships.
Something interesting about her is that she was born with Erb's palsy, which is it's an injury that happens at birth, and it causes paralysis in the arm and the forearm. She was told she would never play sports, so she's such a great success story to look at and think, I could do this, you know, there's no limitations. Wow, looky there. Nice double Arabian.
Just want to report the score for Katie Anna McMillan, 9.875. So very impressive for Oregon State on the floor in their final rotation.
It's really pretty. I know her coaches were like, you better watch this.
Let me take that back. Oregon State has in their 6th and final rotation, which is the next rotation, will finish on the vault.
Even look winded. She's getting ready for that last pass. And Rudy. This is a great way for her to finish. You know, she took a fall on the balance beam, and so when you're coming back after a fall and you know that you're kind of out of contention of going on to competing at nationals, you just want to, you know, gain your integrity and your pride back, and that's exactly what she did.
Okay, that wraps up the 5th of 6 rotations here. The Oklahoma Sooners and North Carolina State have completed their competition, but 4 teams have yet to finish today's competition. Oregon State will be on the vault, Penn State to the bars, Southern Utah on the beam, and Missouri will be on the floor. Don't go away. We're back in Lloyd Noble Center here on the campus of the University of Oklahoma for the 6th and final rotation here in the NCAA regional competition. The Oklahoma Sooners are essentially the leaders in the clubhouse with a 197.625. NC State 195.775. Did a very respectable job. They are currently in second, but you see Oregon State, Southern Utah, Missouri, and Penn State, they all have yet to compete in the final rotation, and it's quite close, especially between Oregon State, Southern Utah, and Missouri. Oregon State will be on the vault, Southern Utah on the beam, and Missouri on the floor. All right, Jessica has the coach, KJ Kindler, who will likely go undefeated continually in this season because it's unlikely that anybody can top the Oklahoma Sooners in this 6th and final rotation. Jessica?
Coach Kindler, Bart just said it doesn't appear that anybody's going to catch you today. Looks like you're going to claim your 6th regional championship in a row. All got started off for you guys on the bars. How crucial was that for you guys to come out hot right there on the bars?
It was crucial, and to be honest with you, we were kind of on a roller coaster ride during warm-up. So starting off on bars was crucial. We did not have a good bar warm-up, and I was happy to see them come through.
And up next was beam, another stellar performance by your team on the beam as well.
Yeah, beam is definitely, you know, in a meet like this, it's where the pressure hits you the most, and I was really proud of the way they handled it.
And obviously, knowing you're going to say there's some tweaks that you can work on. Looks as if, again, that you will advance again to nationals. What does this team need to focus on over these next couple of weeks before you head down to Fort Worth?
I can see a lot of improvements that we can make today. Mostly we talked about their mental game. I felt like they were just a little nervy, and so we need to really work on getting them relaxed and trusting their training and all of that, because physically they're prepared. So mentally we have some work to do, but I know they're willing to go back in the gym and work hard. So.
And you've had a number of freshmen that have made a huge impact on this team this year. This is their first regional meet overall. How do you think your freshmen did today?
So excited. You saw AJ Jackson stick that vault. That was stellar. And then Brenna was good all night. I thought she was fantastic for us. And this is the first level of, you know, a meet of this level for them. So you had to be a little nervy, but they handled it well.
Coach, thanks for your time. Congratulations on a great meet once again for the Sooners.
Thank you.
Bart, we'll send it back up to you.
Okay, KJ Kindler in her 9th season, and the Sooners are rolling. Okay, the final rotation. Oregon State will be on the vault. Oklahoma, as we mentioned, is done. They're on a bye before bars. And then Penn State is at bars. Southern Utah moves to the balance beam. NC State has completed their competition, and Missouri will be on the floor. Taylor Keeker, a gymnast to watch for on the vault for Oregon State. You see her scores. When we set up this competition today, we anticipated it might come down like last year to Oregon State and Penn State because of their national rankings of 12th and 13th in the country. Although Penn State had a disastrous beam and they did not respond terribly well on the floor. They were a little bit tight there, so they will try to finish up on the bars and have a strong showing here in the final rotation. These 3 teams are very close in the final rotation, although the advantage has to go slightly to Oregon State because they're on vault, whereas just one skill.
Right.
And typically the scores on vault are just a little bit higher, but these 3 teams are very close. They're within .375, Oregon State, Southern Utah, and Missouri into the final rotation.
Well, as you can see, anything can happen after watching what happened on balance beam for Penn State. They were prepared, they were ready, and, you know, falls happen. So, but like you said, vault's kind of hard to sit down 2 vaults and have to count a fall. So we'll see.
The difference between Oregon State and Southern Utah is just .075.
Wow.
So this will be interesting to see if Southern Utah can be solid on beam, because you expect Oregon State will be clean on vault.
It's nice to see that vault from Desi because she had a knee surgery in December. For her to come back, they really needed her, and she worked hard and made it right back into the lineup.
Danny DeSaints had a 9.825 in the conference championships, the Pac-12, where Oregon placed 4th this year.
You know, one thing I think Penn State's really trying to accomplish here, too, is to regain their pride back because, you know, They must feel so disappointed. And, you know, it's at times like this, it really shows your character to come back and finish the competition the best you can, not just complete it.
Megan Jimenez will be next. The sophomore out of Temecula, California, did her club training at Precision Gymnastics. She, like Danny DeSaints, does just vault in the lineup currently for Oregon State.
Nice Surachenko full.
Well, she
Little
landed
off to the
far
side.
from the vault
Yeah,
table, but she was a little bit out of line, wasn't she?
Right.
Good distance.
Probably from turning early on the round off.
Danny DeSaints in their leadoff vault was a 9.85. Look how far she landed from the vault table.
Well, you know, one thing I noticed as she was running is like she is booking it down that vault runway. And that, as you know, is what gives you the distance, is the run combined with that pop or block.
Madeline Gardner getting ready to vault. She had a 9.725 on bars, a 9.875 on beam, and a 9.85 on floor. So she's done her part for Oregon State today. They have 2 solid vaults already.
Something unique to see about her is you see she's wearing vaulting shoes. I mean, you just don't see that very much anymore. It shows a sign of international level, too, because a lot of the European, you know, gymnasts would wear vaulting shoes.
Solid landing for Madeline Gardner. So 3 good vaults. They need 5 solid scores. And they got 3 already.
Nice. You know, it's interesting that she puts that 8-inch mat in there because otherwise she's so high. She has to have an additional mat put in on vault to be able to stick.
Their first 2 vaults was a 9.85 for DeSaints, and then Megan Jimenez had a 9.8. Erica Alfiero next.
Oh, great job. Putting the nail in the coffin right there. Not surprised she's hitting that vault. Just consistent. Laid out. Great landing. She knows she's got it.
Once again, over on beam, Southern Utah. They have 1 score in already. It's Natalie Trejo, 9.8. Shows you how much faster vault goes.
Seems to be flying today, doesn't it?
Taylor Keeker and Katiana McMillan will be their 2 final vaulters for Oregon State. Madeline Gardner had a 9.9.
It's pretty sharp. Wow.
Whoa! Stuck it.
That's a game changer right there. Maybe those judges are going to pop one out for us.
It's hard to land that half twist landing forward like that, and she just drilled it, didn't she?
She did, and it's almost like you deserve extra points for that, you know?
Wow, that is amazing that she had a nice slight arch throughout the
Talk
flipping
about trust
action.
your training. You know, that's a blind landing. And
Now notice her feet are apart. They're about shoulder width apart. If your feet are apart, you can land with them apart as long as you scoot your heels together without moving the balls of your feet. She just chose to not put them together. So that's likely a half a tenth to a tenth of a point
You're
deduction.
on it.
9.875 is what the judges came up with there.
I think.
No, 9.925, pardon me. Taylor Keeker, 9.925.
Here's the last ball.
Oh, no. no. Oh.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
Oh, my goodness.
It's unfortunate. Sometimes going for those landings, you just...
This is Katiana McMillan. Just worked her way back into the lineup after that plantar fasciitis. Oh, my goodness. The final vaulter on the final event for Oregon State. Oh, my goodness.
You know, this is where that team comes in and prayers are needed and all good thoughts. And we all know this is part of sports. It's just so hard to see and so hard to watch and makes you sick at your stomach.
So Katiana McMillan with an apparent knee injury. We'll wish her all the best, and it's an unfortunate way to finish a very solid competition for Oregon State, where they will likely move on as the second seeded team from this regional into the NCAAs, depending on the final performances. Southern Utah has 2 scores on beam so far, a 9-8 and a 9-8-5.
This says a lot right here for Taylor Alex going up next on vault for ASU, because it's hard to follow a gymnast when she's just gotten injured. It shows real character. She's really pulled her competition together tonight after her fall on balance beam.
Tylee Bazzuto just mounted the beam for Southern Utah. Try to update you on the scores as we get them. Stacy Webb had a 9.725. Natalie Trejo, 9.8 and a 9.85 for Danielle Ramirez. Unfortunate for Bazzuto.
Well, we talked about it earlier. To finish on balance beam in a competition like this, can't say it's your favorite. I mean, maybe for the Sooners of all people, but most people do not, most gymnasts do not want to finish on balance beam when you're trying to qualify on.
Would you rather start on beam in a competition like this?
No.
So you don't want to start or finish on it?
Not really.
Would you like to ever do it?
Well, I'm a beamer, so yeah. But I guess if I had my druthers, I'd like Olympic order.
Which is vault, bars, beam, and floor.
It's always fun to dance your way out of competition on the floor exercise.
So one of the surprises of the meet really has been the strong performances of Southern Utah. They came into this competition ranked 22nd in the country, had a very good year. In fact, beam is the event that they're highest ranked on. They're ranked 19th in the country on this event. So we expected the Sooners to dominate, which they have. We expected the team battle might come down to Oregon State and Penn State, but Penn State has taken themselves out of the running, although they look to be hitting bars well. They have a 9.775, 2 9.8s, and a 9.825. Solid scores for Penn State on bars. Anna Jaworski up on beam. Next for Southern Utah. Scores are in for Oregon State, a 196.75. So a little bit less than a point behind the Oklahoma Sooners, who are untouchable at this point, the leaders in the clubhouse, so to speak, and they are sitting on the sidelines as these 4 other teams finish up their competitions at the regional.
Looks like you're going to see a unique mount, a difficult mount. Don't get to see these in college gymnastics much anymore. Love it. I'd be real curious to know how many gymnasts in any NCAA division competes that mount. Especially last event. It's impressive. Again, another difficult tumbling pass on the balance beam, a round off layout step out. You just don't see that normally.
She's had her best scores here late in the season. 2 meets ago in a triangular meet with Boise State and Cal. She scored a 9.9.
Nice. Good for her. Love it when you stick like that. Nice routine. Well done.
See for Missouri, Becca Schugel finishing up on the floor. I said this earlier, but I'm really impressed with how Missouri is coming on, and Coach Shannon Welker in just his second year has done a fantastic job.
Oh, very neat. Saw that double full punch front on the floor exercise, and you know, that's one of the skills you don't want to train every day.
This is an event where they're ranked 25th in the country. They're always scoring over 49 there. They'll have one final tumbler over there for Missouri. It'll be Allie Heimsath.
Next on the floor, Missouri will be Allie Heimsath. And now
Sydney Townsend will be the final beam performer for Southern Utah. Let's update you on their scores. So that Tylee Bazzuto 9-1 is the score they'd like to drop.
She started out with a really neat shoulder mount. I like how they're trying to step out of the box and be a little bit different on the balance beam. Come on, pull up. Can't help that coaching comes out every once in a while. I think she can feel the pressure. Looks like she's holding back just a little bit on the balance beam, and that's the last thing you want to do.
Before her, Anna Jaworski had a 9-9. So they certainly appreciated the difficulty that she went for.
Just missed the moonwalk there, Bart. Okay, fabulous. Like I said, they're just making it different, and it's great.
So 4 very good scores for Southern Utah here. That one score of 9-1 is the one they want to drop for Bazzuto. So Sydney Townsend in an interesting situation here, because a big score could make this interesting.
All right. How about that? Woo! I have to agree with you, most impressed with Southern Utah all day long. Scott Bowman is doing just a fantastic job. Next up on balance beam, we're going to see Ashley Thomas, Southeast Missouri State. coach is Christy Wasso.
And finishing up for Missouri on the floor is Allie Heimsath.
We have 2 competitors remaining. Next on B, we Ashley Thomas. And on floor, we Kirsten Sokolowski.
Final 2 performers in today's regional competition. Kirsten Sokolowski out of Linwood. She's getting set for the floor, and Ashley Thomas now will be on the beam. Southeast Missouri.
Kirsten is also one really to watch on the floor exercise. She's trained at MG Elite Gymnastics from a private club, and she goes huge, is what I've been told. Starts with the 2.5. Ashley's staying calm over there, it looks like. Nice dismount, way to finish off her regional competition. Like that ending. Dum, dum, dum. There's going to be a lot more to watch from Lindenwood University, watching those coaches and knowing that they have done such a great job. Only 3 years of the program.
That wraps up today's competition at the 2015 NCAA Regional. As noted, the Oklahoma Sooners untouchable will earn the first place spot. The second place spot is still up for grabs. We're waiting on the final scores. I believe Oregon State will earn that second spot and qualify onto the NCAA championships, but we'll have that confirmed when we come back. Don't go away. We're back inside the Lloyd Noble Arena for the final wrap-up on today's 2015 NCAA Regional Gymnastics Championships. It was an exciting day of gymnastics, and the Oklahoma Sooners expected to win this competition as they did, which means that that is their 6th time in a row, going back to 2010. That they won a regional championship and head into the NCAA championships a couple of weeks from now in Fort Worth as the top team in the country, undefeated, and the #1 seed going into the NCAA championships. Now, in this competition, of course, they were picking the 2 top teams to go to the NCAAs, and according to our calculations, Oregon State makes it through, and down on the floor now with Jessica is their head coach, Tanya.
Tanya, I know tough one to end this one with Katie Anna going down. First of all, how's your team doing right now seeing an injury like that to end the meet?
Well, it's always hard, you know, with a teammate that works incredibly hard to go down. But, you know, they're ready, fired up, and have the opportunity to go to nationals and keep this going for the ones that have gotten injured this season and for themselves, because up to that point they had a really great meet and continued to build from event to event.
We're headed to Fort Worth in 2 weeks. How proud are you of this team to clinch that second spot here at this regional?
Well, I'm thrilled with it. You know, they have worked really, really hard this whole year, and for it to all come together is just incredible to see.
And you ended on the vault. This team knew going into it. You just had to have a solid rotation there. To finish the way that they did, how happy were you to see that?
Oh, they did great. You know, this was one of the best vault events that we have competed all year. So I was really pleased with all the sticks and the continued enthusiasm that they had going all the way up to Katie Anna. So.
And finally, what does this team need to focus on over the next couple of weeks before you go down and compete for nationals?
Well, we're going to have to fill in the spots for Katie Anna because she was an all-arounder, and then all the details, all the sticks, and everything else. You know, it's working on those details, getting ready for the championship.
Coach, thanks a lot for your time. Congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bart, we'll send it back up to you.
Okay, thank you, Jessica, and congratulations to Oregon State. All of our best wishes go out to Katie Anna McMillan, and we hope that she recovers as soon as possible and that Oregon State can be at full strength soon. The Oklahoma Sooners, as we said at the top of the show, Kelly, have just had a magical season. They've had some injuries as well. In fact, Miley Knebben out with a knee injury, and so no team is immune from that, but the Sooners just seem to have it clicking this year, don't they?
They really do, and I just think they're on a roll. It was no surprise tonight what we saw. I just think it was kind of bittersweet for Oregon State and what happened. Here they qualified second place, and yet their team leader goes down. I think they'll be fine, though.
I think so going forward, and we wish them well in their efforts at the NCAA championships. Here are the final scores. The Oklahoma Sooners earned the top score, 196.67625. Oregon State 196.75 earned second. There are 6 regionals going on around the world, around the country, all simultaneously, and so we'll know later on tonight which are the 12 teams that will make it to the NCAA championships, which will be contested down in Fort Worth a couple of weeks from now, and we'll both be down there to enjoy it. So for our producer Jacob Potter and our team at Sooner Sports, I'm Bart Connor. Thanks for joining us. It was a great night of gymnastics. We'll see you next time.